Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Black Girl Flow podcast. We are so grateful that you are joining us for yet another episode, one of our final episodes before we end 2022. Wow, I can't believe how fast this year has gone by. I'm kind of like still processing 2019, but here we are about to enter another year. And you already know we love to start our episodes off with a quick pulse check. So, Lexi, I'm going to pass it to you. How are you feeling? What is your frame of mind entering this episode?
Honestly, the fact that it is December blows my mind. Like, we are in full fledged holiday countdown. The lights are up, they're twinkling, the house smells like a Christmas tree. Full freaking send. I'm hype, man.
Yeah,
like,
this is your prime.
I know. I am living. I'm living for it. I don't know why we don't keep lights up all year round. Like, it is just a simple
Oh,
delight to have a twinkle. You know what I mean?
oh my gosh. I feel like you just zipped down your human costume and an elf popped out. And you're like, I didn't know it was like that Christmas tree up year round gang.
It's not Christmas year round. It's really just the lights. Like, why do
The
we only
feeling.
experience joy like this in December? It's like there's so much more there's so much more for this. We should put this in the middle of the year. But
Mm,
I'm doing good. I'm excited for December. I already like with work and stuff, it's already booked and busy. So I'm excited to just kind of roll through the next couple of weeks and then get some really good time off. So, Christmas, if for those who are celebrating, falls on like the weekend. So you get like an extended time off. And I'm really
mm.
looking forward to enjoying all of that.
Do you think you could convince you and your boyfriend to have matching holiday pajamas?
Absolutely not. I think I don't think so. And he loves me a lot and I think that might be a stretch. But you know what? I'd have to ask cuz we are definitely dispelling a lot of holiday myths. He thinks I went caroling as a child, which that was not what I did. It's a very low key holiday for sure, but
Mm,
I enjoy it thoroughly. And I think the reason that people are shocked by this is because I do not care about any other holiday. So to see me get excited about a holiday feels odd for people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm here for it. I appreciate the Christmas cheer, the holiday cheer that holiday
But in
lovers
fact,
come with.
you are not here. So how are you doing?
I know, y'all. Me and Lexi, I'm in Atlanta. She's in North Carolina. I'm here spending time with the fam. And it's so interesting because Atlanta is obviously the mecca of blackness and beautifulness and creativeness. And it's always interesting coming back home because I I feel like the first time I've been home since the beginning of the year, and I have never had my own space. So now that
Mm.
I've had my own space in North Carolina and then I come back home to my home, I'm just like, okay, all right, we're in it. We're just trying to figure out how to establish my go-to spots and just kind of get comfortable.
That's the thing. Once you leave, it never feels the same coming back. Like,
Yeah,
and I
this is the
think I
first
told you
time
that I
I
was like, it's
experienced this.
ruined from here on out. Once you have your own space, you have your own rhythm
Mm-hmm.
and rhyme, it's hard to default to go back to before that time.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I This is the first time I've experienced that. So it's been cool. I'm a family girl, but it's like, what is there to do right now? I just feel like with it getting dark at 5 p.m., I don't know what to do with my time. As soon as it gets dark, I'm like, time for me to go to sleep. And I feel like just twiddling my thumbs a lot.
Yeah.
So, it's cool though.
Because sometimes boredom is an appropriate experience. Sometimes we need to feel that. But we'll keep checking up on you. But if for let the record state, I do miss Olivia. Don't worry, the band is getting back together in January. And we just all needed a little good recharge and some good QT time with the fam bam.
I know I feel like there are a couple people that are like, wait, like they moved out. They don't
There are some people who have been evil eyeing us and like waiting
they're
for our
waiting.
demise for sure,
Yeah.
y'all. Because
Oh
when
my
you got a good
gosh.
thing going, people are like, suspicious. But
Suspicious.
we're holding out. We already broke our record, so we're happy about that for sure.
I
But I'm
know. And
really. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm really excited to get into this series too, because what
Yeah.
better time?
What a better time. And there is a little bit, I think, with the holiday season, like nostalgia and reflection and pensiveness. We've been talking about this for the past couple of months to kind of prep us and prime us since we're in the fall time. And then winter is very much the hibernation and restfulness. And so we thought no better way to end this year than doing this flow series, which we everybody knows about our rebrand and really embodying the flow lifestyle, but we've never really spent a lot of time breaking it down in this way. And so I'm excited to take people along with us to talk about how we understand this and really actually like the science behind it, because it might be something that people want to embrace into the new year, into this kind of energy that they're stepping into and what they're cultivating for themselves. So, in this episode, we'll be talking a lot about the head of it all, which is just like, what does it really mean to be in flow and what is the flow state? Because that's not something Liv and I made up. It's actually like a literal psychology term to be in the flow state, which is essentially this kind of what one author, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, also talked about in his book Flow, which was saying that it's about the optimal state, and it's about creating these kind of right conditions where your focus and your dopamine and serotonin are like all occurring at the same time. So we want to break that down a little bit because it's really important for us to understand what we're trying to achieve in a very literal sense, but then also what it means for us as Black women who are having like a very different experience in our life. And so we really just want to break that down and give a little bit of background. And I think the one thing that I want to talk about, regardless of flow being this kind of what some people talk about, like is described as a mental state in which a person is completely focused on an activity, but it is also associated with like a high level of happiness and like optimal experience. And the thing that I really love about this is it doesn't just happen off of a whim. Like we know emotions too, right? You can go from happy to sad. You can go from sad to mad. Like we have these kind of bursts of emotions. Flow is not that. This idea of flow as a state has always fascinated with me because it's quite literally a progression of something, and that you have to kind of go through this cycle to achieve it. And so that cycle, people talk a lot about like the four stages of flow, which is the struggle phase, the release phase, the flow stage, and then the recovery stage is kind of that cycle of how you would experience flow. And so we're going to break that a little bit down for people, but Liv, is this something that was like new to you, or how do you feel hearing about more of like the scientific state of flow?
Yeah, I think a lot of people talk about flow in relation to the mind body soul connection. Like you want to have you want to be in flow physically, you want to be in flow like mentally, you want to be in flow emotionally. And so I'd always heard it within that context. I think when it comes to Black women in flow and seeing more movements around Black women healing, I didn't really see a lot of representation around what those spaces could look like, what flow really could be for us. And I think as a creative, we talk a lot about being in the zone, being in the flow. And
Mm-hmm.
so I felt like that was always a state of mind that I strive to be in, because that's when you're most inspired. That's when you can put in, the most amount of like creative projects, all of that stuff. But the more I started to learn just about women's cycles and how we operate on a circadian rhythm, we oftentimes have like a peak time in the month where we're the most creative. And then we have, the time where it kind of crashes a little bit and we need to just kind of chill out. And that's usually like when our period's on and, we're just kind of focused on being in the home. And then after that, you feel energized. And so I was, once I started learning more about how women are versus men, because I think when we talk about flow, when it comes to men, men are definitely more linear. So they
Mm.
can just do 1% better each day. And then that's just the way that we're supposed to be wired to be in flow or like achieve
Hmm.
success, becoming 1% better. But then when you learn how women operate, it kind of gives you that, another headboard to kind of go off of and be like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to, maybe me being in flow doesn't have to look like what all of these
Mm.
self-help experts are telling me
Mm.
needs to look like, because a lot of them are men.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more in feeling like this cycle gave a lot more flexibility and realistic nature to how it feels in
Mm,
life, because it's not always the stepping upstairs like one after another. And that's why I'm really fascinated with like the four stages of flow, because it gives more light to the process and the evolution of it. And it's all of the things that we always talk about that we're, when we talk about there's a realness to like struggle. Just because you want to be a healed girl and just because you've been doing the work and going to therapy does not mean that you don't experience like the ridiculousness of life, the irritability of life, the hardship of life. So even the fact that it's like it starts to achieve the optimal experience, it starts with struggle. And I'm like,
mm,
who knows struggle better than a Black woman in the United States? Like, I'm like, which something for me is that epitome of you don't have to stay in that.
yeah.
It is something that you can use to get to this optimal experience. And that idea of a state of mind, we talk about mindsets all the time. So the fact that being in flow can also be a mindset and can be a state of your being, to me is just so freeing, so freeing. And what I love is that the thing after flow is recovery, because it's giving rest as some resistance. Y'all, I've been reading the book Rest is Resistance, and I'm telling you, it's really the key. And so there's things like that that in my body I knew already, but to see it in this way feels very validating.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful. And I think to kind of go off of what you're saying, like when it comes to rest being resistance, or just like the concept of rest being resistance, I used to beat myself up so much when I felt stagnant. I used to be like,
Mm,
oh, I'm not moving quick enough. I'm not moving. Like, I don't have any ideas. And so, for the first stage to be struggle, or the first stage to be, I think struggle can almost be sometimes synonymous with stagnance, but like the way, it's all about the way we frame these things, because it's like, are
mhm,
you really being stagnant? Are you just like in a period of rest and you're still thinking and like being an active thinker? And it's like some weeks I feel like, and I think I've told you this, some weeks I feel like being on meetings and listening, and then some weeks I feel like doing.
mhm.
So it's all about being more in tune with your body. And I think as women, we just have to figure out the ways in which we can connect with, again, like we've talked about, divine feminine energy,
Yeah.
to access our highest state of harmony, our highest state of flow.
Yeah. And I think we'll definitely post something on social too for people to get it visible. But I just want them, as we now start to think about how does this very scientific way of understanding flow show up in the community that we're trying to cultivate here with Black Girl Flow. But I just want people to know, right? Like that struggle phase is very much when life has got you by the cojones. When it's like you have situations that are outside of your control, right? We can all calm them, just like you're saying, Liv. Like you are in meetings regardless of if you want to pay attention or not. These are just
Right.
situations that are beyond. But then the release stage is really, acknowledging that it is outside of your control and not necessarily disassociating or detaching, but having that mindset shift of saying, like, this is my current situation, this is
Yeah.
the reality of it. And I recognize that I can't control it, but I'm going to slow down my being to try and just acknowledge it and have a realistic approach. And then it right after that then is your flow stage, which is that expansion of awareness. Now that you've slowed yourself, you recognize your current situation, you can increase your awareness and focus on a particular activity. And what I always love is when people talk about being in flow, and especially creatives like yourself, they're like, I lost track of time. Like, I was doing this task, I got this burst of
Right.
productivity, and like, I didn't even need to eat. Like, I just wanted to finish this. And you kind of achieve that kind of optimal experience. And your body's so focused on it, it doesn't even send off any of the other neurotransmitters to say that you have other needs. And then you have a little bit of that recovery, that because you expended so much of that energy, it's time for you to, quite literally, they talk about like, you have to go to sleep. Like, you have to sleep, and the sleeping will help cement that as like a positive experience and also help recharge all of the energy. So I just want people to have like a very clear visual of how that shows up in our day to day. But now we have to kind of make the connection for, how does being in flow bring us to Black women and cultivating community? And why did we choose to do this?
Oh my gosh. I think we chose to have this space so that we could provide a safe space for Black women to heal, to envision their highest self, to connect with other Black women that are trying to do the same things. Um, this was an idea that initially started with college girls being the focus, but
Mm-hmm.
then we took it towards just Black women in general because we believe that everyone needs the resources and tools, and also the space to just kind of let a deep exhale out and be like, oh, like I can let myself, I can be free of judgment. I can talk about my jealous moments. I can talk about the times I lacked boundaries. I can talk about the times that didn't protect my peace in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of ways. And we can work towards gaining, gaining understanding and gaining the tools to be better, because I think our whole mission is that, you know, Black women, we need to liberate the Black woman, so we
Yes,
have this space to do that.
period. Keep it 100. Like, it's that and only that.
What do you think?
Well, I remember reading the book Flow, and it was when I was abroad, and this was very much one of those experiences for me. When I have a book and you read it when it's time to be read, and it kind of meets you in the present moment. And the biggest takeaway was, oh yeah, Black people are going to need this. Like,
Mm,
Black people are going to need flow for that healing and liberation. And a lot of people associate flow too with water, and I think that has very healing properties and energy. And to me, you just can't convince me that Black women are not one of the most energetic beings on this planet. And for me, the idea of being able to be in that flow state, which is to focus on a particular thing and pour all of your energy into that, I associate, if Black women can put that flow and attention on themselves and
mm,
understand their own experiences, and that they can be in the flow state going within, to your point, we can really expand not just the consciousness, but the liberation and healing that's necessary. And so for me, that math just maths the way that it is. Like, it's so clear, 2 plus 2. But I want people to understand that we can give that attention to ourselves. It's not that it has to go to something else. And you're right. So much of our purpose and the reason we center topics around the tools that people and topics that people can start to, embody in their life, is to ultimately help them reach their higher purpose while being very
Yeah.
realistic of it's not an easy process. It doesn't look linear and you're constantly asking yourself these questions. But I think our goal is when we can achieve flow by centering and focusing on our well-being, then we can accomplish anything. And along with that, we're building the community that will sustain that growth. Because you can go through a flow stage once, but don't you want to continue to have those optimal experiences? Well, yeah, then you need to be adjusting your community and your environment so that you can continue to do that. And I think for us, we see that as Black women doing this together and committing to that helps us achieve that alignment and ultimately that peace within ourselves that I believe is the light that nobody can dim.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I couldn't have said it better. It's like being in flow and just having flow as a state of mind. It's just bigger than setting goals. It's a practice.
Yes. Yes. I get so
So,
hyped thinking about it because if you know something so good, like, why would you not want it for all your sisters, your mamas, your aunties? Like, that's what we do when when you're like, yo, I got this pajama set and it's hitting. Like, you try and put everybody on. So, why are we not
yeah.
trying to put everybody on to the healing and the inner peace journey?
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I feel like North Carolina has healed me in a lot of ways. Just in having communal space with you, and also I think living a slower life, I've been able to think more about the decisions that I've made that's impacted me, the things that I wish that people didn't do towards it, like all of the things. And I'm just really excited to see what else will be able to accomplish within this space for you all, because there's just so much more to come, and we want you all to walk away feeling like, like I'm healed, or I'm in the process of healing now, like
Yeah.
I can let down my shoulders and be fine.
Yeah. And now that we have this kind of kickoff episode to just talk very tangibly about what it means to be in the flow state, I'm excited to keep exploring this because if it piques people's energy about what it means to be in flow, then I think the next thing we have to be able to do, like you're saying, Liv, is recognize what it feels like to be in that state because it's not going to be this like confetti bursting of rainbows and unicorns and like all of this
Right.
stuff. We can learn about it, but then we want to be able to say in our life, this is how it's happening, this is where I'm at in that phase and really sit in the feeling of that because if we don't have that awareness it's not going to hit the same way because it's all about slowing down, having the conscious awareness of it and taking care of ourselves so that we can keep that path going. And so I'm excited for our next episode to dive a little bit more into the heart of the conversation and talking about what
Yeah.
it feels like, how you can even support other people who are in that flow state, how we can be in community and how that community feels different when there's other people who are committed to flow,
Mhm.
just like you're saying, because that's our goal is to bring everybody along with us in this journey. And I'm just super excited that this is the series that we're ending off with. And so if y'all got questions about flow, let us know. We want to answer them. And we want to bring y'all along with us. So we cannot wait for next episode to continue the conversation.
Yes. And with that, we end it with peace, love, blessings. We will catch you guys next time.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.